In a previous video, I've explored how to automate the sales process by connecting a Stripe successful payment to your Notion CRM and creating a deal and the associated project. In this video, we're looking at how you could automate the creation of a project and the related tasks with automatic dates assignment in Notion in your project management system as part of delivering the project to your client. By the end of this video, you will understand the principles to create some automations in your Notion project management system to manage any complex or more simple projects where some steps or action items can be automated. I will use a real estate company example demo, creating a construction project and all the associated tasks and visualizing that data in a centralized project dashboard. Say you're a real estate construction company and here we're managing deals. We know that a deal can have one or multiple services. These are the services that we offer. And a deal can have projects because then there is the delivery component of it. So let's say this one is closed won. I will select the service. Let's say this is construction. And now because it's closed won, there is the need for the project to deliver the service. So I'm gonna click the button to create a project. This creates a new project, which I can find here linked, ready to be set up. So I can open the project page, name it accordingly. And I can see here the dates were automated. And then I can see the project dashboard where there are also tasks that were pre-populated here. So I can come here, I can adjust the dates of the project if needed. Let's say it's going to start on September 15th and it is going to end maybe June 2026, like that. So it's going to start soon. This is a construction project. This is taken directly from the deal, which I can find down here. That's the associated deal. That's closed one with the value and all the sales related data in that database item. Here I can see the company. I can link the 24 assets that this is for. There is the owner. There are collaborators that I can add here. These are my team members working on this. We can work together on this project, also leaving comments, tagging each other, touching files, and then work on the action items, which we can also create a timeline view of these action items. But the automation already created some default tasks. These are examples that I created, so don't look at the accuracy, just the principles here. So there are a few tasks. They are sequential. The dates are automatically given based on the project dates. And each task is a card, which means I can expand it like so to open the details of it. And let's say there is the construction team assembly. That's one of the tasks that needs to be done, starting immediately at the start of the project. And it has a due date about 1 month later. So here I can write down the task description, any sub-actions or notes that I want to keep on this task page, handy for reference and collaboration with others. I can update the status as needed, so it shifts accordingly in the board view right there. I can also comment with people, with my team members, to coordinate on this task and make sure that it gets done in time. And the same for the other tasks. I can change the dates of these tasks as needed. I can directly drag and drop them in here, and when there are tasks done, then the project percentage will update accordingly. I can also manually add the tasks as needed via the new button here or the new page under any status. And then I can open it and set the names and all the other properties that I showed you earlier. There is also the possibility of creating a timeline view. This may be useful if there are multiple tasks or we want to visualize things a bit better. Of course, that could be part of the template already. Now I'm just creating it manually to show you what it might look like. So in here, I can create a timeline view of actions, and this is going to be a new timeline. I don't need to show the page icon. I'm gonna use separate dates, the due date as the start date and the due date as the end date here. And I'm gonna filter to only show action items for this project, and I will do this at the template level, so this will be automated, but now I'm just showing you manually just to reiterate this. And we want to sort by due date and due date. It's going to be useful to visualize things properly. Here I can scale down, and this allows me to quickly move things around. Now, additionally, we can add the assignee directly visible there. Maybe not showing the status, but using a conditional color to color based on the status of tasks. So I can easily comprehend whether something is done, green, in progress, blue, or still to start, gray. If a task extends across multiple days or weeks, then I understand that this is a task that takes a bit of time. So it has a start date and an end date, like so. If it just has 1 day, then it means it's a milestone, like a meeting, in this case, month 1 progress meeting. It happens on 1 day exactly. That's September 18th. So the start date and the end date are the same because that's more of a milestone here. And alongside this information, I can also visualize the related content, the related meetings for this project. Although I just showed you month one progress meeting as a task. This is just a choice in this example, but it could as well be just a meeting shown in this calendar. So that's a preference in the workflow. And there is Wiki, where I can also attach documents, create reports for this project, and anything else that's useful for me and my team to collaborate on this project and be on the same page and keep everything in one single dashboard that's in a quite minimal version here with toggles for each section. At the same time, I can visualize all this data in a centralized database that is the Actions database alongside all the other projects in one place. So if I open Actions, then I can see the master board that I can easily filter by project. I can filter by the assignee, so the responsible person, by date and other properties here. I can also see only my tasks to just focus on what's assigned to me as opposed to other people. And I can see the workload of team members here, where each user is a toggle that I can expand to see how many tasks there are, and if I wish I can filter by status to only see the active tasks and see how many are in the pipeline. This means that I also have the flexibility to create views that show overdue tasks, which might be an important component of managing complex projects like a construction project in real estate. And so I can easily filter a board view or a table view or any other view by, let's say, due date is on or before, and then I can dynamically select today to see only the overdue tasks. In this case, there are no overdue tasks. I could also use conditional formatting to color overdue tasks in a different way to easily let them jump to the eye when looking at the dashboard. Now let's look at how this is set up. This is a 24 assets template, which is available for sale. The key databases involved in the automation that I showed in this video are DLs, projects, and actions. So in the DLs database, there is a button that's create project, and this button, when clicked, it creates a new project in the projects database. It leaves the name empty, although potentially we might just map the name from the DL if you like, or use any other automated naming convention for the project, so you don't have to manually edit it upon creation. Then we map the project type from the services on the DL, which is what I showed you at the beginning. First I select the service that is offered to that DL, and then when I create that project, the service or services are carried over automatically. And this is an important part because the services determine the automation trigger and what kind of tasks get created. So that's the concept here in this sample. Then we relate the DL to the current page to make sure that we maintain that relationship and history log. And then we set dates dynamically. In this example, on average, let's say this kind of project lasts 9 months. And so we set that date dynamically here from the date of creation of that project until 9 months later. That's what this date add does. It adds 9 months to the start date. We could also here add a step that opens that project, so we don't need to really click multiple times. And so once we click on it, then a new page gets created in the projects database, which I can show you here. That's the projects database, and in here there is a template that has the structure that I showed you earlier. So there are different sections for each related item, actions, content, and so on. And there is an automation in the projects database that creates construction tasks automatically. If you have any other services and other tasks and projects that can be automated, then you can create one automation per service, for example. This automation looks for new projects that get created where the project type contains construction, meaning whenever on a project we set the service, the project type to construction, then that automation triggers. And that's why when we click the button on the DL that I showed you earlier, this automation triggers automatically because we assign the service, mapping it from the DL. So in here, we then create multiple actions or tasks. And these are some examples. The first task related to the current project with the DO date. So that's the start date, we could call it, and the due date or the deadline of that task. And then we create the action items multiple times, each action item with different dates and durations. And this achieves the workflow that I showed you in the demo at the beginning of this video. When a project is created, we then have all the tasks populated inside of that page, and then everything stays updated, centralized, and you can collaborate with people in your team from one single place and visualize and manage expectations for the project, which, if done well and with a certain intention, can really save a ton of time, make things much smoother, and create a sense of relaxation within the project rather than constant stress and not knowing where to find things or what to do or how to do that. That's it for this video. You will find the 24 assets template in the description together with other resources. Let me know if you have any comments, leave them down below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.